Oh my God. Huh. Edit. Hmm. Testing, testing. One, two, three. Yes. Welcome, family. Welcome. This is going to be a great one tonight. This is going to be a great talk, a great um, eye opener, no brainers, um, just everything today. And I want to stop and take the time out to thank all of you who helped me get to 700 because I'm at 700. And so here we go. There's a party going on out here, y'all. A celebration to last throughout the years. So bring your good times and your laughter too. We're gonna celebrate and party with you. Go ahead and celebration. We're gonna celebrate and have a good time. Yeah. Celebration. Come on and celebrate and have a good time. It's time to come together. It's up to you. What's your pleasure? Everyone in the diaspora. Come on. Dun, 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 dun. Yahoo! Hey, gonna celebrate. Hey, hey, we're gonna get our day. We're gonna celebrate. We're gonna get our groove back. Hey, we're gonna lend our souls. We've reached all our goals now. Hey, thank you, family. And we got a great talk. I'm gonna start from the first lie. We're gonna go back. We're gonna take it back to the first lies in history. And we're gonna be looking out for an MO. We're gonna be looking out for an MO. So it's not gonna be just me talking. I'm gonna show videos. I'm gonna show pictures. I'm gonna show proof, evidence, because one of my videos were taken down, and they said because I speak against their truth. Everything's a lie. Everything's a lie until you can admit that the system and that us being out here and us voting it's a no-winner, no-brainer, then and be truthful and be honest, then everything's a lie until then. Everything's a lie. Hold on. All right, I'm back, family. I'm back. Yeah, let's get into it. Let's talk about it since it is um the celebration of Martin Luther King. But who benefits from this? Who's always benefited? But let us benefit in some kind of way. It becomes something that needs to be attacked, brought down to the point where they have to kill us every time. This has been the MO. This has been the MO. Now you know why they put certain people in certain places to root for them that look like us and to be the gatekeeper for us, such as Congress, gatekeepers, those who are holding us from what belongs to us as a people. And this has never changed throughout the centuries. Never changed. Never has changed. Not even the lies that have been told. The current picture that you're looking at is Corsica. We know that he came through and he named all the lands different names, Middle Eastern, the Middle East. Let me go into this here. The Mediterranean. They just call it all kinds of things, right? They just call it all kinds of things. After a while, they call it what they want to call it, right? So this is really another part of Africa. This is Italy, Spain, uh, French, kind of a France province, I think. I want to say that's why they call this area the Mediterranean. But now today, when I was overseas, what they were doing, they were taking areas like this. They're very beautiful. When I was overseas, they were, when I was in Bahrain, I would see them advertising for homes and different things like that. But, of course, guess who they were doing it for? Because we don't have the resources, we don't have the capabilities to really be the ones to do this, to go back and live in a lot of our lands. We're just right now, our people don't really see that big picture, don't see that big picture of possibilities. But and that's really understandable. But hold on. But I'll remember thinking that's paradise because it really looks like paradise. But this is one of the places where you would find indigenous people that look like us that they called Moors at the time. Now, my question is, they went, of course, the Caucasian went around doing what the Caucasian did. We do know from uh, our brother's book, our elder's book. I have the book. Um, of it's showing, and the book is showing how we came to an end, and it talks about the war tactics of the Caucasian. And those war tactics have never ever changed. They don't change their war tactics because they know that our people are asleep, and they've gotten used to the simplified way of dealing with us. And they can still deal with us in the simplified way because a lot of our people are not in their awareness whatsoever or refuse to be aware of anything. So, like I said, that rearview mirror may be small, but it's not insignificant by no means. By no means. Um, so then we look at, so you got to think, we look at Australia. That's another, what they call European country today. So I already dealt with Spain and Italy and France and Ireland, because we already know that those were indigenous people that they called Moors that lived in those lands before the Caucasian got there. So I want to propose a question. How do you conquer something that you already occupy? How do you conquer something that you already occupy? What need do you have to conquer anything when that is not even in your vocabulary? If you were going to conquer anything, you see, they depend on us to not know, and not knowing is half our problem. They don't know a lot about themselves, so they know that a lot of our memory has been wiped away, but it's coming back. So you have to think logical about these things. You have to think logical about what you've been told. And then sometimes there may not be no logic within it. Um, especially the part where they claim that, because let's go back to the Irish, because the Irish, okay, they call them snakes. You know, we know that, let's look at what we attribute to what we gave them. Let's look at what we gave them. Okay? Let's look at that. What we brought to them and why we brought it to them. Okay? Let's do that. Let's look at what we brought to them and why we brought it to them. Okay. This is when black men ruled the world. And 8 things the Moors brought to Europe. They didn't have to go and conquer Europe. Swarthy, black or very swarthy, is a mixed person. I did a video on that. That's a mixed person. Kind of like a couple of my relatives, my ancestors that have passed away that I take after. Some people could say I'm maybe swarthy. It depends on your eyes. I don't think I'm swarthy, but sometimes I can see that, because I guess sometimes I can be bright skin, and then sometimes I can see it. I can kind of see it. It's just all about the lighting, I guess. But Swarthy is a mixed people. And you got to know the history that has happened to us and why they used the Portuguese and why they went into Iran. And Iran has a deep Moorish history because, again, all of that was part of Africa, okay? So they did the conquering, but they always going to throw the shit back on you, just like monkeys. You go to the zoo, be careful, that monkey might throw his shit at you because that's just the way of his mind. That's just the way his mind works. That's just the nature of that beast, the monkey. He will do that, you know. Like the Tasmanians. No one can dispute me on this. Did the Caucasian not murder all the Tasmanians? And I'm gonna come back to this. And let me see. Did he not murder the Tasmanians and take all their land? And you're not gonna find a Tasmanian in sight today. You're not gonna find a Tasmanian in sight today. So let me show you how beautiful their land is or land was. You're not going to find a Tasmanian alive today. You're just not going to find a Tasmanian alive today. You're going to find Caucasians alive and flourishing in a land that once again was given to the righteous beings. You're not going to find an indigenous person anywhere. You're not going to do it in Tasmania. Because guess what they did to them? They turned them into they turned them into the Tasmanian devil. I don't know how many of you remember. Hmm. They killed them off and made them into that. But the whole point, hold on. I'm back, family. So anyway, we're going to look at this article. We're going to look at this article. When Black men ruled. Let me turn that off because something's wrong with my sound. Okay. All right. Because we gave much. So let me first start by religion. But we know that Constantine took all that we gave them, formulated from Gnostic understanding. It came out of Kemet from their high priest that sent them out to do the work, right? Okay. So I want to say, first of all, we gave them art, math, science, religion. Gave them also instructions on how to take care of themselves, how to dress, etiquette. Because before Europe also had Caucasian people, Black people there that they called the Moors. And these people took over the crown from them and took over Europe. Europe got so bad, it's still, their water system still, their sewage system never really got any better because, they wanted to be the rulers over the world, and that's what they became, right? So because there were other people already there, indigenous people living there, the Moors, the quote-unquote Moors, because I don't think that's what they call themselves, but this is all a depiction from someone else's mind of these men, okay? And we got to remember, we're dealing with other people's thoughts, other people's pictures, other people's ideas, until we can see for ourselves. They give us every reason to not really trust what they say, and their depictions at times. But because of all the conniving, the conceiving, deceiving, and destruction that has been done, why should you trust that? So we gave them all of those things. They turned around with the religion and turned it against those who gave them knowledge. All of that is knowledge, healthy knowledge, to help them to do the things, the abilities that we already naturally could do. And the proof in that is basically, why would we give them all of those things? Because we already had those things. Those things were part of our education, but not the same education that they have forced upon us. The American education system derives from what we gave them, but it does not derive from what we originally used, the system we used. The religion that they have forced upon us derives from a substitute that they needed for their souls, but it does not do anything for us because it was the opposite kind of education religion for us versus for them. Just like the medical system is different for them than it is for us. Because melanin heals fast. Melanin allows for a lot of things. Self-healing. When a baby is born, we grow faster. We do things quicker. We have rhythm. Just different things like this plays a big part in who they are and who we are. But I'm not saying that, I'm saying that they have turned the ball around upon us and made us seem like the weaker people, but we're not the weaker people. They have to have things literally because they are physical beings. We don't just deal with the literal. But what has happened is because they have forced upon us their education system that we gave to them, which is a hindrance for us. It's not the way that we are supposed to learn. Everything was geared towards their education so they can get things that we had already that they were missing. That's how good our people were and understood exactly what these people needed, the antidote to save their people. But guess what? They turned around and made stories about a snake and the tree of knowledge and all of this to make, and then you would hear things like the secular world, math and science, and all of this is evil. We hear it today. That's proof. You hear it today about them talking about it's evil. That is amongst them. We never really had anything to do with anything like that until slavery. And they put that upon us. And also, they put upon us that our voodoo was evil. Everything's evil. You can go back in the history of the Caucasian, and everything is going to be evil. Everything's evil. Anything you do, you walk and fart down the street, it's evil. You're wicked. So there you go. It's just ludicrous. But let's get into this article and see what they're talking about here. As early as the Middle Ages, Moors were commonly viewed as being mostly black or very swarthy, which is swarthy is kind of in between because, as we know, part of war. Don't think that the Europeans were in Europe all this time. No, they were called Tamahus, and they would attack villages. They would attack women, children, kidnap children, and of course, we know that eventually they took over Greece, and of course, what do you think happened to the women? They ended up getting raped, and many of them end up pregnant and producing swarthy children. Swarthy children. So, and then this would be used like the Portuguese, like everyone else on the planet, are pretty much a combination of Caucasian and Moorish. So you they would have better reinforcement against us when they came to attack us. So they would create these armies just like they did with the Moors. Okay. With the Moors eventually got whited out. They ended up being whited out. Because they had mixed people or quadrogen people because they weren't able to save everyone. Quadrogens, which is people who may be a quarter black, who became Moors as well, became known as, claiming to be different than Caucasian. So they would eventually take over and battle for control and end up winning control over the original Moors. But they didn't do that till after their high priest passed away. Their high priest passed away, and he was, I think, and then after that, that's when you would start seeing more swarthy Moors, Europeans calling themselves Moors, right? The 16th century English playwright William Shakespeare used the word Moor as a synonym for African. His contemporary Christopher Marlowe also used African and Moor interchangeably. Arab writers further buttress this Black identity of the Moors. And let me tell you about that. The Arabs are those same Moors, swarthy, basically white, courtesans, who ended up taking over that part of Africa, Arabia, and that's why you have it looking like you have it looking. That's why you have Iran looking like it looks. North Africa looks like it looks. That is proof right there. When you dig into it, you'll be able to see clearly what I'm saying. But that's how that happened. If we know that the Portuguese were a group that was already there to infiltrate Africa because Africans allowed them into their land, and the land was not called West Africa. The land was not called Ghana until the 1900s, until sometime in the 1900s. So you can't say my DNA traces me back to Ghana. You cannot say my DNA traces me back to this part of Africa or that part of Africa, because you just don't know. DNA doesn't trace you back to a landmass. And I don't know why you would allow somebody to dumb you down to think that a landmass can be your DNA. The planet is your DNA. You are attached to the planet. And the sooner you know that, the better off you will be probably to fight for what is yours, because right now they keep screwing with the brains of the Americans, indigenous, and making you think that they got some kind of power and you can vote somehow. And who are you making things better for, though? Why do you have to fight for a right to vote over and over and over again? Why do you have to be here getting hit in the head again and again and again? Who wants to live like that? It's obvious. The picture is obvious. I can't make it any obvious with my talking. I can't clarify it and make it more obvious than that. It's dumbed people who dumbed us down to think in a dumb manner for their survival and our demise. Okay? Okay. Arab writers further, I'm not going to finish reading all of that. Okay. Moorish Emperor Yusuf bin Chafin is described by an Arab chronicle as a brown man with woolly hair. There are indigenous people still in Arabia. There is indigenous people all over the planet. They may claim they moved you here, moved you there, moved you everywhere, which may be some truth in some people, but it's not a truth in all people. I don't think I can give them credit taking a little boat, a wooden boat, all the way from a place they didn't even know whether it was west or south or east of Africa, when that would be impossible. That would have been impossible because the ship, that little boat, would have been torn apart. It would have been torn apart. The way my big, huge USS Reagan ship moved in the Atlantic was horrible. That thing got dragged every which way. Can you imagine a wooden ship, a wooden boat? What would happen to it? It would have been crushed. It would have been crushed. I've been in a storm. It would have been crushed. It would have been crushed. Black soldiers, specifically identified as Moors, were actively recruited by Rome and served in Britain, France, Switzerland, Austria, Hungary, Hungary, Poland, and Romania. Saint Maurice, patron saint of medieval Europe, was only one of the many black soldiers and officers under the employ of Roman Empire. Although generations of Spanish rulers have tried to hold on. Hey, Guy Nollywood, welcome. Okay. Although generations of Spanish rulers have tried to expunge their era from the historic record, archaeology, because, Rome was what? Again, it was part of Africa. Rome was part of Africa. Europeans did not have anything, no abilities. We were giving them the abilities to be whole people again, right? Okay. But they took it as evil. And they did things, or they took it as evil. They told their people it was evil to draw, to paint, to do anything, to do certain things. Science, and then today, the secular world, some universities are considered, you have sometimes you'll have them say that, if just it's a control mechanism about how you teach and what you teach. They want you to teach certain things. So if you're teaching out of order, then you'd be called evil. You'd be deemed an evil That's just the way they think of it. Using your own mind is considered evil, you know. Although generations of Spanish rulers have tried to expunge this era from the historic record, recent archaeology and scholarship now shed fresh light on the Moors who flourished in Al Andalus for more than 700 years, from 711 to 1492. The Moorish advances in mathematics, astronomy, art, and agriculture helped propel Europe out of the Dark Ages and into a new birth, a rebirth, because these people were born with one DNA from a chimpanzee. So they needed help, they needed assistance, and they were given that. And that's all they needed. The Moors didn't try to do anything. At this point, if the Moors were trying to conquer Europe, they could have killed them all because they weren't in their right minds. They were warring, having sex with animals, dirty. They could have poisoned them all. If they wanted to conquer Europe, they could have poisoned them all. They could have did all this stuff, but they didn't. They didn't. You know, that's how you catch a people in a lie. If they give you stuff, what would make you think they have to come and do anything to your women? Why would they have to come for your women? Why would they have to war? Why would they have to conquer anything? They have to protect the other people that are in the lands. And this is part of protecting the people that were in the lands. It's trying to give them some stability, some human features within themselves, you know. But we see today, what have they done with it? Clearly nothing. Still clearly nothing. But use it against us. They lied on the Moors, and women that looks white but are swarthy, that were seen with the Moors. Anybody swarthy, uh, they tried to depict as a white woman, and then make like the Moors were trying to get their women, and then turn the whole picture and make them seem like the bad guys when they were the ones who were trying to save their own people, the indigenous people who were in the land, but not knowing that these people would turn around. You think the antidote would work to bring some civility, but it didn't. It didn't. It just brought strength to their incivility, their inability to be civil. The Moors brought enormous learning to Spain that over centuries would percolate through the rest of Europe. The intellectual achievements of the Moors in Spain had a lasting effect, education and universal in Moorish Spain. While in Christian Europe, 99% of the population was illiterate, and even kings could neither read nor write. You see, we didn't need to read nor write, not in the way they did. We had a different languages. They ended up with creating their own languages, making their own languages, formulating their own languages. And of course, they took the language, they were able to formulate starting from the Latin language that the Moors had gotten from out of the African language. All of these things were formalized from the indigenous people of the planet to a people who weren't so indigenous but lacked in the abilities that we had. At a time when Europe had only two universities, the Moors had 17, located in Almeria, Cordova, Granada, Jaén, Malaga, Seville, and Toledo. In the 10th and 11th centuries, because uh, the one guy, the Greek, who was supposed to have brought all this to the Europeans, he went over to get the education and did not bring it back to his people at all. He did not benefit his people at all. So the Moors had to bring it to the Europeans. You know. Including one in Cordova that housed hundreds of thousands of manuscripts. Universities in Paris and Oxford were established after visits of scholars to Moorish Spain. It was this system of education taken to Europe by the Moors that seeded the European Renaissance and brought the continent out of the 1,000 years of intellectual and technological gloom of the Middle Ages. I like this comments. Let's read these comments here of these people. Okay. 255 thoughts on when black men ruled the world. 8 things that brought to Europe. Hmm. Because they had their own lands. And you saw those were beautiful places. But who got conquered? Who got conquered? All the time. Same old MO, same old mode of doing things. Raping, pillaging, and killing. It never stopped. Today in Africa, the Chinese man, the Asian man, they're the same, come from the same place, okay? They do the same thing. They go over, make babies, so they can get some kind of claim to a stake, claim to land. Then they leave them. So this one guy, first person said, beautiful. The second person, now tell me what's stopping us now. I agree. What is stopping us now is the point that our people have been programmed and refuse to come out of the programming. Someone's telling them to vote, vote, vote. And we keep thinking that the red, the blue, the red, the blue doesn't, it's all a trick. It's a matrix. Sister wrote the matrix and put red and blue for a reason. Why did you think she picked those two colors? Okay. It's long list. How much time you got? Yeah. I wish you just went down that long list. I really do. Nice one. It's about time the truth was told. Yes. It's time to shed the inferiority issue and take our right place in society. Hold on, honey. Hold on.
Hurry up, Sharon.
Okay. Hey, family. I'm going to have to continue this part 2 Tonight, when I get back, I have to make a run, but I'm gonna have to continue part two of this, and we'll continue going down this list and other people's thoughts of this article, and then gonna get into what today's topic is, even though it all has to do with the past and what. But we need to look at the MO. We need to look at what the same pattern of what's been happening over and over again everywhere. Okay. So with that said, true love, real peace. Look for me tonight. Thank you, God and Hollywood, for being here. And I see you everywhere, but I don't know how to pronounce that. There must be some extraterrestrial name, but I'll just say that. Okay. Thank you, and I'll see you soon. Peace. What?